You can start, sir.
Good evening. Hi. So today we'll be continuing the previous chapters, resistors in parallel, series in parallel. We have done few numericals in the previous class. We'll continue to do more numericals on series and parallel resistors configuration. So we'll see what are the basic definition of resistor, how are they arranged in series, and how are they arranged in parallel, and then we'll try to solve some numericals. So you can whatever doubts you have in the for the questions, you can put it down in the chats. I would want everyone to pay attention to this class. It is very important. Okay. So what do you mean by resistor? Okay. So a resistor is a simple device that we put it in a circuit. What it does, the name itself says that it resists the flow of current at 2 points. For example, there is a voltage that is supplied by the battery. Then the resistor, there is a drop in the voltage at a point resistor. So we can calculate how much the drop will be there, because of which current will be affected. So how current will be affected if voltage drops? That is because V is equals to IR, right? So V is directly proportional to I. So as voltage drops, current also drops. So that is how they are connected. So that is resistor. It is a device, and depending on the value of the resistor, we can say how much more it can resist the voltage flowing through the circuit. Now, so if in a circuit, if two resistors are connected end to end, they are called resistors in parallel. We can calculate the overall resistance in that particular circuit is calculated as sum of two resistors. For example, let's say this is R1 resistor and there is R2 resistor here. This is R1 resistor and this is R2 resistor. And if we want to find out the total resistance along the circuit, and let's say this is point A and this is point B, we want to know the resistance at point B, we can directly find out Rs is equals to R1 plus R2. This is called equivalent resistance or total resistance. Next, if there are also certain configuration wherein we can connect the resistors in parallel. So how do we connect these resistors in parallel, one below the other, having two ends connected to the two ends? So if we want to find out the total resistance at point B here, then we will do 1 by R1 plus 1 by R2 plus 1 by R3. This is R parallel. So it is given by 1 by R parallel is equals to 1 by R1 plus 1 by R2 plus 1 by R3. This is also called equivalent resistance or total resistance again. Now we will try to solve few questions for configurations in series circuit and configuration in parallel circuit. So basically there is three. The question is three resistors of 5 ohms, 10 ohms and 15 ohm are connected in series. Find the equivalent resistance. So this RS is given as equivalent resistance R1, R2 and R3. They are 5 ohms, 10 ohms and 15 ohms. Now I would ask you to find out the total equivalent resistance and put your answers in the chat box. So put your answers in the chat box. I will check if any how many are correct. I'll take 30 seconds uh, to see the answers. Then I will solve for the rest. Okay, now 30 ohms is correct. So here R1 is equals to how much? 5 ohms, and R2 is equals to 10 ohms, and R3 is equals to 15 ohms, right? So what will be the R equivalent is equals to the total resistance in series, which is 5 ohms plus 10 ohms plus 15 ohms. That gives us 30 ohms, right? 30 ohms is the correct answer. Yeah, I can see. Next, a 12-volt battery is connected across three resistors in series, 2 ohms, 3 ohms, and 5 ohms. Find the total current flowing through the circuit. So the hint is First, we have to find out the equivalent resistance. Then, by using Ohm's law, we have to find out what is the current flowing through the circuit. What is Ohm's law? V is equals to I into R. This is Ohm's law. I'll wait another 1 minute to see if how many people can answer this question. Okay, we'll try to solve. I see some answers coming. V is equals to 12 volts and R1 is equals to 2, R2 is equals to 3 ohms and R3 is equals to 5 ohms. Right? So what will be RS? R1 plus R2 plus R3, right? So this is equal to how much? 2 plus 3 plus 5, which is equals to 10 ohms. So we got Rs is equals to 10 ohms. Now we have to find out what is current across. We know that V equal to I into Rs, right? We need to find what is I. I will be V by Rs, right? So what is the total current? I is equals to what is voltage? 12 volts by 10. So it is 12 by 10, which is 1.2 amperes. It is 1.2 amperes. Okay, let's move on. I think everyone understood. If you have any doubts, then just let me know. I'll be looking at the chat box as well. So moving on. Four resistors of 8 ohms each are connected in series. Calculate the equivalent resistance. The hint is given. Try to solve this question and tell me the answer. The question is four resistors of 8 ohms each are connected in series. Calculate the equivalent resistance. That's the question. It is very simple question. I think everyone will be able to see solve this. Okay, this is very simple and straightforward. So here R1 is equals to R2 is equals to R3 is equals to R4, which is equals to 8 ohms. Why is that? Because they said it is four resistors of 8 ohms each. That means everything is 8 ohms here. Okay. Now what do? We put it in the formula. Rs is equals to 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8, which is equals to 32 ohms. Simple, right? Yeah, that's the answer. Moving on. In a series circuit, the total resistance is 60 ohms. If there are three equal resistors, what is the value of each resistor? In a series circuit, the total resistance is 60 ohms. If there are three equal resistors, what is the value of each resistor? So how do you do this? Yeah, right, Neha. Yeah, 20 is correct. So we can try it like this. Let's say R1. So they said three are equal resistors, right? All the three are equal resistors. That means R1 is equals to R2 is equals to R3, which is equals to R. So what will be RS? It will be R plus R, which is equals to 3R. What is RS? RS is equals to 60 ohms. So we have 60 here. R will be 60 divided by 3, which is equals to 20 ohms. So each resistor will be 20 ohms. Next, a current of 2 amperes flows through three resistors in a series, 4 ohms, 6 ohms, and 10 ohms. Find the voltage across each resistor. So this is the total resistance that you have to be using the formula. Then again use Ohm's law to find out what is the total voltage across each resistor. So read the question carefully. They asked voltage across each resistor. So how do you find out voltage across each resistor? Okay, so first we need to find out the total resistance that we have. Rs is equals to, so here R1 will be equal to 4 ohms, R2 will be is equals to 6 ohms, R3 will be is equals to 10 ohms. So Rs will be 4 plus 6 plus 10, that will be is equals to 20 ohms, right? Then current is given as 2 amperes and we need to find out voltage across each resistor. So we can do one thing. For each resistor we will calculate first. So V1 is equals to how much? V1 is equals to I into R1, that is 2 into 4, which is 8 volts. So this is voltage V1 at across R1 resistor, and V2 is I into R2, which is equals to 2 into 6, which is equals to 12 volts. This is V2, and then we have V3 is equals to I into R3, which is equals to 2 into 10 ohms, that is equals to 20 volts. Okay, so what will be the total? So this is voltage across each resistor. This is V3. So if you want to find out the total voltage in the circuit, what do we do? We can simply write V is equals to V1 plus V2 plus V3 plus V1 V2 V3. So it will be 8 plus 12 plus 20, which is equals to 40 volts. So this can be derived like this as V1 plus V2 plus V3, that is V total. Or else you can find it out from here also as V is equals to IRS, right? You can do 20 into 2. Again it gives you 40 volts. So these two are accepted things. So remember the question can be asked as voltage across each resistor, or they can ask total voltage in the circuit. That could be okay. Okay, Shobha, I'll try to explain once again. So basically, what the current is given, three resistors in the series are given, 6 ohms, 4 ohms, and 10 ohms. We have to find out voltage across each resistor. So basically, the let's say this is A point, and the resistors are connected like this, three resistors. Okay, and these three resistors are connected to a voltage source. Let's say some V. So they are asking, so this is R1, this is R2, and this is R3. So they are asking voltage across each resistor. So we need to find out what is the voltage at R1, at R2, and at R3. When we have to do that, we do it separately, right? V1 is equals to I into R1, V2 equal to I into R2, V3 equal to I into R3. So we find out V1, V2, and V3. For example, if they ask what is the total voltage, they're not asking at each resistor, they're asking the total voltage. Then we sum up all these things by V is equals to V1 plus V2 plus V3. That is how we do it. So if we add it up, this is what we get. If we don't want to add, if we want to find out voltage at each resistor, we do V1, V2, and V3. I hope you understand. And moving on to the next question. Two resistors of 20 ohms and 30 ohms are connected in series across 24-volt battery. Find out the power dissipated in each resistor. Find out the power dissipated in each resistor. Voltage is given, two resistors are given. We need to find out power. So in the last class we have seen power, right? What is power? P is equals to, can anyone say this? Power is given as V into I. But from Ohm's law, what do we know? V is equals to IR, right? So if we substitute IR in place of V, we get IR into I, which can be written as P equal to I square R. So power can also be written as I square R. So we need to find out power dissipated in each resistor. They have mentioned very clearly, right? So we need to find out power dissipated in each resistor, not just total power dissipated. So first find out the total resistance, then find out at each resistance how much power are you losing. So first find out current from the voltage that you are given and the RS that you got. Then find out the power at each resistor and tell me answer. You should get two answers. I'll wait for 1 minute if anyone can solve. If not, I'll move on. Okay. So R1 is equals to 20 ohms and R2 is equals to 30 ohms. So what will be RS? It will be R1 plus R2, which is 20 plus 30 ohms, which is equals to 50 ohms. Clear? Now we will find out what is current. We know that V is equals to I into RS and I will be V by RS. Now what is current? V by, what is voltage? By the way, voltage is 24. We have to find out 50 by 50. 50 is the voltage. So we got 24 by 50, which is 12 by 25. We can write, right? Yes, 12 by 25. This is for our easy sake. I am writing it here like this. Now we got what is current, right? Now we need to find out what is P1. P1 is the power dissipated at R1. So P1 is equals to I square R1. So P1 is equals to 12 by 25 whole square into 50. Not 50, sorry. R1. What is R1? It is into 20, right? So P1 is equals to 144 by 625 into 20. Calculate this and tell me the answer in the chat box. And what is P2? P2 is again I square R2, which is equals to again 12 by 25 whole square into 30, which is 144 by 625 into 30. Tell me the answers of P1 and P2 in the chat box. Okay. Um, I want you all to pay attention to the class so that it will be useful for everyone. So P2 will be 6.912 volts. So power is treated as watts, right? And what will be P1? P1 will be 4.608 watts. So you can take it as 4.6 and you can take it as 6.9. approximately. Moving on to next problem. Three resistors in series have total resistance of 48 ohms. If two of the resistors are 15 ohms each, find the third resistor's value. It is pretty simple. So what do you do here? RS is given. RS is 45 ohms, and two of the resistors are said. Let R1 is equals to 15 ohms and R2 is equals to 15 ohms. We need to find out what is R3. Let's say R3 is equals to some R, and if we substitute these values in the above formula, what do we get? It is 45 is equals to 15 plus 15 plus R. So 45 is equals to 30 plus R, and R is equals to 45 minus 30. So already I'm sending 30 to that side, it becomes minus, so it will be 15 ohms. So that is how you calculate. Good. Next question. 240 volt power supply is connected to three resistors in series 50 ohms, 70 ohms, and 80 ohms. Find the total current in the circuit. Pretty straightforward formulas you have to use and find out what is the total current here. So voltage is given as 240 volts, and R1 is given, R1 is 50 ohms, R2 is equals to 70 ohms, and R3 is equals to 80 ohms. So find the total current in the circuit is what the question is. So basically what is RS? Is R1 plus R2 plus R3. Right? So 50 plus 70 plus 80. How much do you get? It is 150. So 150 ohms is the total resistance. We need to find out what is the total current. In order to be equal to IRS, and what is I? V by total resistance. What is voltage? It is 240 volts by 150. 0 gets cancelled. It is 24 by 15. It goes in 3 table. Is a 5 is a, what is 8 by 5? It is 1.6 amperes. Many of you got 1.6. If you don't understand any questions, you can go back and you can watch them always. And if you have any doubts, please ask in the chat box and try to pay attention to the class here. So two resistors in series have total resistance of 100 ohms. If one resistor is 60 ohms, find the other resistor. This should be very easy question for you. I'll wait for 2 minutes and see how many of you can answer this. Okay. RS is given as 100 ohms. R1 is given as 60 ohms. We need to find out what is R2. Let's say R2 is equals to R. So 100 is equals to 60 plus R. Simple. Why? Because R is equal to R1 plus R2. So R is equals to 100 minus 60. R2 will be 40. 40 ohms. Don't forget to write the units because sometimes they can ask as kilo ohms, which you have to remember very much. So that is very important. If you forget that, the answer will be wrong, even if your method is correct. Next, 5 resistors each are connected in series, what is the total resistance? You should solve this question and tell me what is the answer. They said R five resistors have same. So R1 is equals to R2 plus R3 is equals to R4 is equals to R5 is equals to 5 ohms. You need to find what is RS. Just tell me the answer. How is it 40? Each resistor is 5 ohms, right? So it can't be 40. Good. Right, Neha? It is 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5. It is 25 ohms. Pretty straightforward question. Moving on to next. So we are done with solving a few problems, basic problems in resistors and series. Now we'll move on to resistors in parallel. So basically, how do you find out resistors in parallel? It is basically Rp is equals to 1 by Rp is equals to 1 by R1 plus 1 by R2 plus 1 by R3. Okay, and so on 1 by n. So if you remember in the previous class we were talking about this series, and I told you like it is r by n, right? So this is where we connect it. So here it is given r1 is equals to 10 ohms. Read the question. Two resistors of 10 ohms and 20 ohms are connected in parallel. Find the equivalent resistance. So r1 will be 10 ohms, r2 is equals to 20 ohms. The formula will be Rp is equals to 1 by R1 plus 1 by R2, which is equals to 1 by 10 plus 1 by 20. This is, so what is LCM between 10 and 20? It is 20. So this 2 plus 1 is 3 by 20. So you remember here 3 by 20 is not the answer. 1 by Rp is equals to 3 by 20. So what will be Rp? Rp will be equal to 20 by 3, which is equals to 6.66 ohms. So this is the total resistance or equivalent resistance. This 3 by 20, right? Not 1 by 30. You don't add the denominators, you add the numerators, right? So take 10 comma 20 as LCM and you do it and you are ending up with 20. Then if you do it, you'll get it. It's basic maths. Then moving on, three resistors of 6 ohm, 12 ohm, and 18 ohm are connected in parallel. Calculated total resistance. What does the hint? Hint is by Rp is equals to 1 by R1 plus 1 by R2 plus 1 by R3. So R1 is equals to how much? 6 ohms, and R2 is equals to 12 ohms, and R3 is equals to 18 ohms. What is the answer for this? These questions are a bit tricky. You have to be very careful when you are solving. It is 1 by R1 plus 1 by R2 plus 1 by R3. First write down the formula, then substitute very carefully, then you don't do any mistakes. 1 by 6 plus 1 by 12 plus 1 by 18. So for 6, 12 and 18, what is LCM? It is 18. So it will be 3 plus, sorry, it is not 18. And take LCM 6, 12 and 18. It will be 3, 6. It will be 36. So you can take here 6 plus 3 plus 2. It will be 11 by 36. That is 1 by Rp. Don't forget. So for Rp, what you have to do? total equivalent resistance in parallel, you have to do 36 by 11. So 36 by 11, what is 36 by 11? So if you do some decimals, you will end up with 3.3 ohms. It is 36 by 11, it is not 11 by 36. That is because it is 36 by 11. Correct, correct. Yeah. Okay, see here, a 12 volt battery is connected across two resistors in parallel, 8 ohms and 16 ohms. Find the current through each resistor. So, voltage is given as 12 volts, and R1 is equals to 8 ohms, and R2 is equals to 16 ohms. We need to find out current through each resistor. From Ohm's law, what do we know? V is equals to IR. So from this, what do we have to find out? We need to find out, and I is equals to V by R. So the current through first resistance will be V by R1, and the current through second resistance will be V by R2. So we need to find out I1 and I2. But how do you do that? I1 will be is equals to 12 by 8, which is equals to 3 by 2, which is 1.5 ohms. And what is I2? Is I1 12 by 16, which is equals to 3 by 4, which is 0.75 ohms. This is I2. Sorry, this is not ohms because this is current, it should be ammeters. It is 1.5 ampere and this is 0.75 ampere. I'm sorry, it is 1.5 ampere and this is 0.75 ampere. Hope you all understood this. Moving on, four resistors of 40 ohms each are connected in parallel. What is the total resistance? Here R1 is equals to R2 is equals to R3 uh, is equals to R4 is equals to 40 ohms is given. So how do you find out? Again, it is the same. 1 by Rp is equals to 1 by R1 plus 1 by R2 plus 1 by R3 plus 1 by R4. You can also solve along with me and you can give your answers in your chat box. Yeah. So they said 40 ohms each. It is not total. We have to find out what is total. So it will be 1 by 40 plus 1 by 40 plus 1 by 40 plus 1 by 40. This gives us base are equal. You have to add the numerators 4 by 40, which is 1 by 10. 4 ones, 4 tens, right? So see here, be very careful. RP is equals to 1 by 10. So what does it give? RP is equals to 10 ohms. Simple. Hope you all understood. Yeah, correct, Harish. So moving on. So two resistors are in parallel, have equivalent resistance of 4 ohms. If one resistor is 6 ohms, find the value of other resistors resistance. So the total resistance is given. RP is equals to 4 ohms is given. R1 is given as 6 ohms, and we need to find out what is R2. So let's say R2 is equals to R and put the formula for parallel. See the question, what is, there are keywords in the question. So equal resistance, we need to find other resistance, two resistors are in parallel. Parallel is important. So 1 by RP is equals to 1 by R1 plus 1 by R2. So what is RP? 1 by 4 is equals to 1 by 6 plus 1 by R. So what do you do? 1 by 4 minus 1 by 6 is equals to 1 by R. So how do you do? What is 6 and 4 common? is 24. 6 minus 4 is 2 by 24. So 1 by r is equals to, it is 2 ones, 2 twelves, right? So 1 by r is equals to 1 by 12, and r will be equal to 12 ohms. So this is the value of R2. This is the resistance of second resistor. I hope you understood, right? Anyone has any doubts in this question? Good. So moving on to next. So here a 100-volt source is connected across three resistors in parallel, 50 ohms, 100 ohms, and 200 ohms. Find the current through each resistor. So voltage is given as 100 volts, and R1 is given as 50 ohms. So whenever you get a question, first write down what all are given, then you'll understand what should be done. And R3 is equals to 200 ohms. We need to find out current through each resistor. See again, this is important. What is the current through each resistor? They did not ask what is the current in the circuit. They asked current through each resistor. So what you have to find? You have to find out I1, I2, and I3. So we know V is equals to IR from Ohm's law. So what will be I? I is equals to V by R. So I1 will be equal to V by R1. Similarly, I2 will be equal to V by R2, and I3 will be equal to V by R3. So tell me what is I1, I2, and I3 values. Put your answers in the chat box. I'll see how many of were able to follow. 50, 100 by 200. So what is I1? What is I2? What is I3? So what is I1? What is I2? What is I3? What are the answers? Put your answers in the chat box. So it's 51. It's 2. This is 2 amperes. This is 1 amp. This is 0 0.5 amperes. Good, good. Correct. Correct name. Yeah, I can see the answers now. If you have any doubts or if you have done any small mistakes in your calculations, you can correct it from here. Now, two resistors of 15 ohms, 30 ohms are connected in parallel across a 45-volt source. Find the power dissipated in the circuit. See, I told you they did not ask the power dissipated across each resistor. They asked power dissipated in the circuit. So we have to find out what is power dissipated in the circuit. We know P is equals to V into I, right? This is the formula for power. Now we know resistors are given, voltage is given. How much is voltage? V is equals to 45 volts, and R1 is given as 15 ohms, and R2 is given as 30 ohms. So by using Ohm's law, we'll find out what is I. V is equals to IR, right? What will be I is equals to V by R, P. Here, because it is parallel, we take it as P. So this is important in this question, parallel. So 1 by Rp is equals to 1 by R1 plus 1 by R2. So 1 by 15 plus 1 by 30. What do you get? It is 30. It is 2 plus 1. Right? It is 3 by 30 ones and tenths. So here RP will be 10 ohms. Simple. This is RP value. The question is not finished. We have to find out what is power dissipated. Now what is power? So substitute current now. I is equals to V by RP, right? What is voltage? It is 45 and resistance is 10. 45 by 10 gives 4.5 amperes. This is current. Now we need to find out the power dissipated. P is equals to what is voltage? 45 into what is current? 4.5. What is 45 into 4.5? Give your answers in the chat box. I'll check how many of you are correct. I need what is P here. The units of P will be in watts. Try to solve it. So 45 into 4.5 will be 202.5 watts. So this is the power. Yeah, correct. Next, connected in parallel, calculate total resistance. So three resistors of 5 ohms each are given. R1 is equals to 5 ohms. Simple. R2 is equals to 5 ohms. And R3 is equals to 5 ohms. And they are all connected in parallel. We need to calculate the total. 1 by 5 plus 1 by 5 plus 1 by 5. How would I get this? Because 1 by Rp is equals to 1 by 5 plus 1. Sorry, 1 by R1 plus 1 by R2 plus 1 by R3. Right? So what is, so sorry, this is 1 by Rp. So 1 by Rp is equals to, so it will be 3 by 5. So what is Rp now? 5 by 3. So what is 5 by 3? It will be 1.66 ohms. Correct. Correct, Harish. Next question. Two resistors are connected in parallel across a 24-volt battery. If total current is 4 amperes and one resistor draws 3 amperes, find the resistance of each resistor. That is what the question is. So two resistors are connected in parallel. So what is the voltage given? 24 volts. So wherever there is a battery written, that means voltage is given. If the current, what is current is equals to 4 amperes. And R1 is given as how much? 3 amperes. Find the resistance of each resistor. That means we have to find out the total resistance. How do you find out? I'll wait for 2 minutes to see how many of you can answer this question. So this is given to find out. So it is given if one resistor draws 3 amperes, find the resistance of each resistor. The total current is how much? 4 amperes. Each resistor draws how much? 3 amperes. That means total is I, and I1 is equals to 3 amperes and I2 is equals to 3 amperes. This is given. So we need to find out the resistance of each resistor. That means we have to find out R1 and we have to find out what is R2. How do you do this? Simple. From Ohm's law. We have found out current through each resistor. Now we are finding resistance for each resistor given the current. V is equals to IR, right? So for R, what do you do? V by I. So for R1, what will be the formula? R1 is equals to V by I1, comma R2 will be is equals to V by I2. Simple. So R1 will be is equals to 24 by 3. So R1 is equals to 8 ohms. And R2 will be equal to 24 by, so R1, R2 will also be equal to, clear? So this is the resistance of each resistor. This is how you find out. There can be so many questions asked based on parallel and series resistance configurations with voltage, current, and power. Put it in different places. Now, a 60 watt bulb and 100-watt bulb are connected in parallel to a 20-volt supply. Find the current drawn by each bulb. That is the question. So here, what is that? P1 is given as 60 volt watts and P2 is given as 100 watts. And they are connected in parallel to a 220 watt supply. Voltage is equals to 220 volt. We need to find out what is the current drawn by each bulb. So what is the power formula? It is V into I, right? So for P1 it will be is equals to V into I1 and P2 is equals to V into I2. So what will be I1? P1 by V. What is P1? 60 by 220, which is, so we can cut down zeros. 3 2s are, 2 3s are, 2 11s are. It will be 3 by 11 and 3 by 11 is around like 2.27 amperes. This is the current drawn by each of P1 bulb, and we'll find out what is I2. I2 will be is equals to P2 by V, which will be is equals to 100 by 220. And this is also I2. Let's say this 100-watt bulb, 2 is cancelled, 5s are, 2 11s are. What will be 5 by 11? It will be around 0.45 amperes. So 60-watt bulb has drawn 0.27 ampere current and 100-watt bulb has drawn 0.45 ampere current. Understood? So this is for this class today. Calculating current, resistance, and voltage for resistors connected in parallel and resistors connected in series.